Alrighty. So yeah, make sure that you sign in to the doc attached to this meeting. If you need a link, please let me know. I know of a few people that are out today, and Spring 1 is also happening, so I'm not entirely sure if we'll get too much conversation in here, but glad whoever's here can still be here, and we could maybe talk about something if we need to. Okay, I could get us started. Yeah, let's go through the agenda items. Again, feel free to add anything to the agenda that you think we should be discussing today. As far as status updates, I can relay some information prior to some individuals being out, which is there's a new RFC that was discussed yesterday in the working group meetings in regards to process types and essentially changing it so that Buildpacks themselves define what the default process type should be. It seems like there's going to be a pretty good amount of discussion necessary there. So not a lot of tangibles just yet. Yeah. Anybody else have any other status updates in regards to the implementation side of things?
Not much. I think I'm gonna try to spend some time on stack packs, Joe's PR, and kind of get familiar with that and kind of help push that proof of concept, I guess, to a state in which we can discuss and push further to finalize the RFCs that are in flight for that.
I guess I can share RFC related. We have a RFC and a potential spec change related to Windows, all around requiring the image configs to require a path environment variable. That's in the works, and we'll probably be opening up the RFC early next week at this point. Happy to
Awesome.
dig into that if any more questions.
Okay. Any other status updates? All right. Let's see. Release planning. From what I hear, there is something in the works that is being, I guess, going to be released soon. That was one of the things that they were working on prior to being on vacation in Spring 1. So keep an eye on that. I honestly don't know the details. I don't know if anybody else does. Cool. All right, we're in the dark over here. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I am curious just because I guess maybe some more insight to the platform side of things, or at least at minimum the learning side of things in regards to the spec changes that you're referring to, Micah. How does that impact the end user? Typically, like a lot of our tutorials have very basic setup. And are we saying that, essentially this is necessary just in general to be added to every base image? And we're saying that the default base images don't come with this information. So it's kind of like a mandatory thing that we have to add on top of the maybe Microsoft provided images. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that about captures it. It's usually the way I was thinking of phrasing the spec is just to require enough to find the shell and require every platform to have enough paths to find the shell. So what it would look like, it'd be very boilerplate on Windows, and it's already boilerplate in the actual base image source for the Linux images, but unfortunately they're not, since it's not tacked on to the Windows base images, it's up to the stack author to put it on their build and run images. So yeah, it's a little bit of boilerplate. It's already in the samples repo. The hope was that since stack authors are fewer in number than Buildpack authors, there would be a little bit less of an impact to them. But yeah, it's still, as far as the user's concerned, it would still be a manual step they'd have to do.
Cool.
And especially in a case where they would want more than just the path, more than just the shell part of the path in there too. There might be some tooling or some other things that the spec would force. The spec wouldn't mandate it, but an implementer would probably want to make that experience better for a user, just reminding them, say, when they run pack create builder or any lifecycle that's going to export an image or deal, maybe come into contact with validating all the current image metadata or image config metadata. They might want to give an error message that would say, hey, here's how you do it, or here's a value that would be sufficient. But sadly, we can't, just due to various constraints of the situation. You can't really read the value, that the exact value that they should use. And it's not very easy to, for the same reason, it's not very easy to just solve it for them by copying it over. Those Windows registry hives is where the actual data is.
Cool, that makes sense.
Definitely interesting getting that kind of feedback on the spec when it comes up to an RFC. I'll try to repeat the what I said, but happy to discuss it and pros and cons and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what comes about those discussions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd love to even get other Windows interested folks weighing in on that outside of just us.
Cool. So I'm going to write that to the agenda.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Anything else that we should be discussing today?
We're trying to get lifecycle image stuff working.
Is that...
I think we'll take the route of deferring the well, I guess, is this one more implementation focused?
It is.
Is that what you're going to ask? Okay.
Yes.
My bad.
Yeah. We're going to try to keep a very strict separation of concerns here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's slightly lifecycle related. I guess that's kind of where my question is going to be, is whether or not this impacts multiple platforms, right, from a lifecycles perspective. And I don't think it does, right? I think it's, to your point, very specific to maybe PAC.
Yeah, it does seem more like PAC.
Cool. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I definitely don't want to just take up the time for taking it. So,
I was going to throw out just as a question for Jesse. I looked briefly at they're not called stack packs, the stack build packs.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Kaniko is potentially pretty, there might be some very small changes needed for Windows, but it looks like it's operating on a level that's not going to be too OS specific. That was, I guess, I'm feeling good about it.
I don't know if Kaniko works on Windows at all, but the implementation, he did try to put some effort into making sure that it at least sort of had a hook for that. But yeah, it'll like for you to replace it with whatever snapshot tool does work on Windows. But yeah, so have you tried Kaniko on Windows? Does it work on Windows?
It probably doesn't right out of the box. I looked at the source for it, and everything that it's doing in terms of unpacking the tars and inspecting through the APIs and stuff all look pretty straightforward. I'd be interested when you feel, is that kind of in a stable place as far as the PR goes, as far as how it's going to change? Like, is now a good time to try it out on Windows, specifically the stack build pack stuff?
I doubt it. I doubt it's quite there yet. I don't think the exporter work has been done at this point. So I think it's running the build packs, but I don't think we're actually like taking those snapshotted tars and putting them in the actual export part. And unless Joe finished that up while I wasn't looking, which is possible as well. But I think exporter, that stuff is not done yet.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check back when y'all are a little farther along and then try it out. But yeah, so it was promising what I saw so far. So awesome.
I guess the main thing is, Kaniko is a scratch image, right? So the I'm just thinking about how that's going to work. So I guess if as long as we pull it in as a library, then it shouldn't really matter. Yeah. You probably have to thread through I guess the OS architecture stuff somewhere, maybe, but I don't know. It is
Yeah,
pretty generic. So
yeah, I think we'll learn more as we go along. But yeah, I'm super excited to see that moving along. Awesome, Mark.
All righty. Anything else? All right. Since there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and call it. Everybody have a good day.
see you. Thanks.
See y'all.
Cheers.